Believe it?
All right.
We have to have a big party for that.
All right, we're live.
Break out the champagne, okay. I said the mic's
Just
still
waiting
on
on
one
Karen,
side.
right? Once I turn on.
Is Karen gonna be here?
Can we approve the minutes?
I read
With-
them.
you
and I-
did?
And I
As
actually,
long-
and I watched the last meeting online too, so I.
Yes, you can.
All right.
Even if you aren't here, you can read
Yeah.
the minutes.
All right.
All right, we're good. Yeah, as long as you've reviewed them, that's sufficient.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't know if you wanted to take a peek at this. This is his original sketch plan.
Oh,
But I do need that.
I
for
did,
my record.
yeah.
Oh, I have to change this.
You have to do it, right?
Change this.
You not?
Oh, very much behind.
Really? This time last year, you were done, weren't you?
I tried to finish last year before we left to go live, and this year I didn't. It's fine. Is that a tree on Sunday? Got stuff for the cookies. All my baking stuff I got this week.
That's good.
I gotta make a lasagna next weekend.
I always like macaroni every day. It tastes better, yeah.
That I make it ahead of time. I'll do
Yeah.
2 or 3 big sheets for Christmas Day.
That's good, that's good. I start, I'm a sourdough baker. Yes,
Do you do flavors?
I love baking sourdough bread. I'm not really that good on the ingredients yet. I'm good with the, cinnamon raisin. I did, jalapeno cheddar. Yeah, and I finally got it to, it's really scientific,
I heard. I can't.
you know? But I don't go that crazy. And they didn't do that back in the old days with the pioneers,
Crispy.
isn't the one she's not gonna be at, right? This isn't the one she's not gonna be at.
I talked to her today, she didn't, I think she's coming.
All right, I texted I hate texting people when I know they're driving.
I think this might be her. Someone's pulling.
But she comes from Poughkeepsie, right?
Yeah, it's over that way. Pulling in right now.
Good.
Sorry about that.
That's right, I know, I'm like, I hate texting when they're driving.
It's okay, my car talks.
Hello.
Hi, Karen.
All right.
Planning board member?
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to introduce him when we start, but yes, so this is
Mike Rendish,
Mike
136 East Main Street.
Nice to meet you, I'm Karen.
Karen, nice to
So,
meet you over there.
Mark is gone?
yeah, he's not going to
Pete.
be here tonight.
Oh, Mark, yes,
Oh, and
Mark is
Pete's
is
off,
absent,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Monday, December 9th, 2025 Planning Board meeting. Amanda, would you like to take roll?
Sure. Chairman Rob Pfister,
Here.
Member Lou Masella,
Here.
and Member Mike Rendish.
Here. Lou, would you like to lead us in the
Pledge.
pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lou, did you get a chance to review the minutes?
Yes,
I know Mike has reviewed them.
Did.
Could I get a motion to approve those?
I make a motion we approve the minutes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Arch Street.
Welcome, Mike.
Thanks, Kurt. I get to see the drawings now. That's the whole purpose, just so I could get the view.
Okay, the Arch Street mixed-use project, I think that's for something. So basically, I think Sarah reviewed the village code and determined that although the site plan doesn't expire, the variances have expired. So that will require us to revisit the Zoning Board of Appeals. So I know there were some open engineering comments on it, but we're really not going to address those until we kind of get some feedback from the ZBA just to see how feasible this is to move it forward. So if the board could possibly start seeker so that we can apply to the ZBA and get the process rolling with them.
Yeah, I mean, you can apply to the ZBA at any point.
Yes.
Right, I mean, generally speaking, we do a referral
Yeah.
from the planning board. But yeah, I did advise that now that we know what all the actions are, it would be appropriate to declare intent to be lead agency. We would recommend a coordinated review with the zoning board who has variances to approve.
All right.
Which means that this board would have to complete seeker prior to the zoning board making a final determination on variances.
Final determination, but he can still go in front of the zoning board.
To
And
start
so-
that process,
all right.
correct? They can do
All
it
right.
consecutively, yep.
All right.
Or
The usual
simultaneously, rather.
process, yeah. So, but I don't know if you want to
Yes,
see if there are questions or comments other than that before you make that move.
do you want to start with,
I'll just run through a few things. So did you find documentation of the parking waiver that was,
I think we did, I think Amanda had that in the planning board minutes, I believe.
So I looked even further today in the minutes and what I found was that 4 spaces have been paid for, that's in the minutes.
Okay,
So that
paid for, is that what you
for
said?
the
Yeah,
waiver,
payment in
that
lieu of
They were
parking.
anticipating payment on the rest of the spaces, which was $500 a space, which I wasn't able to find where that was. And I had Jennifer look into old vouchers and stuff to see if she can match
And,
anything.
and I think, if I recall correctly at the time, I think the code had changed in the village. I think originally there was payment in lieu of parking.
Yeah.
Then they rescinded that, and then,
Okay.
I think that in that process, I think some were paid for, and then they gave waivers for more, but they had rescinded the payment part of the parking, but that's going back a few years.
Sorry, do you remember what the required parking was for the project way back when?
Let's see, I believe, I think it was 11, and then that's what was granted. I think they must have paid for the 4, and there were 7 additional.
Yeah, in the minutes from January 23rd of '08, it says, due to the latest building arrangement, the required number of parking spaces would now be 11 spaces.
Sorry, say that again?
11 spaces.
No, but what was, it was 11 spaces?
Due to the latest building arrangement.
Okay.
But that was for the square footage, it looked like, in those minutes. From the original, when it was built as the medical building, correct?
No, this is
This is
vacant lot.
The
Arch Street approval.
Medical building's
This
next
was-
door.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so there were 11 spaces required.
yes,
We have records that say 4 spaces were paid up as part of the payment in lieu of.
right.
And so the remaining spaces you think were waived,
They,
but,
they did waive the 11 spaces. I think only 4, if Amanda found it, were paid for, so.
Right, that's what it says on that same.
Right. Because again, that was, originally they had upped the waiver because previously there was less
Oh,
required
okay.
and they were waived, they were paid for.
Okay,
Then they
okay.
came back and it was more required, but they waived it, but that's when the fee in lieu of parking was no longer in effect.
okay, so there's a disconnection there of sorts, right?
They waived 11 spaces.
They
4
waived
were
11
paid-
spaces, only 4 were paid for.
Right.
Okay.
But I don't even know if that's still in effect now, the fee in lieu of parking.
No, it's
You're
not.
right, so
Yeah, you
I
were
think
right
that
about
that's,
Yeah.
that went away.
Last paragraph here. Okay, well, setting that aside to think about, the dentist's office, the Pauling Medical Office, as it was approved back whenever it came in front of the board, was required to have, I think it was 12 spaces?
I think so.
Yeah. And so now you guys are proposing to potentially use some portion of those spaces, and you're justifying this with, in part, with the fact that the dentist's office is not open every day of the week, right?
Correct.
And so again, tell me, what days is it open?
I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, I believe. And then also, I think just in terms of use, the apartments theoretically would use the parking spaces overnight when the dentist office is closed, in an ideal world. But I mean,
Right,
there's
right,
some,
so there's a shared parking
Yes.
scheme. You know, I think there's not a clear answer on this exactly, and I think what might be helpful is to understand what was the operational program when the medical office was approved compared to what he's proposing now for the, part-time.
I have a feeling it was full-time operation
Right,
there.
but how many employees, like how many medical, how many offices?
Right.
Whatever let's just get an idea of the change in operation,
Yes,
right?
Gotcha.
As a method by which to understand
Yeah,
if
I'll just have
it's-
to search what the methodology was to establish that. I think it was probably based on square footage, but
Probably, but I guess I think it would also just be helpful to understand, if they were seeing over the course of the day, however many patients, right?
right.
I don't know.
Yep, okay.
Okay. But kind of along that same thought pattern, if
I will say that I asked Amanda to pull the 1990 site plan. I wanted to check the notes with regard to the parking situation. And it did say that off-street parking, it was required 1 space per 400 square feet of building. There was 5,000 square feet, so they needed 12.5 spaces, 13 spaces at the time. So it was based off square footage. They provided the 13 spaces, including one handicap space at the time.
Okay. Right, so if we're modifying the parking program for that facility, you know, it needs to be A, justified, and B, I don't know if it needs to be legitimized at the planning board level just for the medical office itself.
I think that would require an amended site plan, because right now your site plan says that you have 13 spaces dedicated to the medical use.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess the point is, they waived the parking spaces, so theoretically, all those parking spaces for this project would be off-site, whether it's on the street or somewhere else, street parking. So this is, I think, offering the potential to park
Right.
on another site, not on the street, when appropriate. So I think that there's a balance game we need to play there.
Perhaps. I guess the question I would have for Sarah is a waiver, does it have the same benefit? Is it tied to the site plan's expiration, you know, lack of expiration in this case, right? Site plans don't expire according to the code. Does the waiver, does it expire, or is it tied to it?
That was granted by the planning board as part of the site plan process, so I would think it'd be tied to the site plan portion of it.
And you completed all conditions necessary for that site plan?
I believe so. I believe it was signed, and, yeah, because we actually were applying for a building permit at one point years ago.
I'm gonna have to look into it. I don't want to weigh in on that now without looking into the,
Okay, I think that's
Feasibility of
key point of information that we need to have.
What was the payment in lieu of parking bit? If that was part of the waiver?
Well, it was in the zoning code that I think you could pay, if the planning board could waive parking spaces required if they found it appropriate, and the applicant at that point would pay, I think, $3,000 per space.
Well, if the applicant. paid.
500? Okay, $500 per space, to offset that cost. And I think that went into a fund for if the village found an off-site place to build parking at some point. But then they rescinded that somewhere along the line.
But I also think it's not just that, it's not a waiver and payment in lieu. It was you got the waiver if you paid, right? Is a payment in lieu of parking. So they paid for some portion, and they definitely have those 4 spaces waived.
Right.
The others are in limbo of some sort.
Well, I mean, they waived them, but that fee in lieu of parking was not active at that point.
It was voided,
Right, so-
repealed.
So they waived it the same way as the other one, but they just
Right.
didn't have to pay for it at that point.
so that law was repealed during the pendency of this application?
No, I think that there was an original application, was Mr. Lopez, that was the original one that was done. Then Bob Marini Arch Street Partners bought the property, and now this is the third owner. the
Would
current-
it be possible for you, Kurt, to do a timeline of these applications?
Yeah, I'd have to sit with
Just for the-
Amanda and go through it
Go
all.
over the bill, whatever
Yeah.
the file
Yeah.
has,
Okay.
but I think that's
So-
gonna be helpful for the board to
That's
understand.
fine. I think we can probably do a synopsis and then attach all the pertinent minutes and
I think
whatever.
that would be very helpful.
Okay, that's fine.
To understand at least the process of those original
Yeah, because we're going
applications.
back, 15 years probably.
Yeah, and then I think we do really need the answer as to whether that
As to whether
waiver
the waivers
is.
carry.
Yeah. And then I do think it would be helpful to have some narrative explanation beyond just wordplay about the difference in operational characteristics.
Yeah. And what they're doing now, I mean, to understand it, like there's
Yeah,
one
like-
dentist, one hygienist, whatever it is.
Right,
and-
right, versus whatever
Yeah.
it was at the time.
Yeah.
How big is the, just ballpark, how big is the medical office building?
I think it's 5,000 square feet. I think that's what Sarah just said.
That's what the site plan said, 5,000 square feet.
That's
what
pretty big.
justified the
Yeah.
parking.
Yeah,
There used to be 2 doctors in there. There was Grill and
Yeah.
Pasquale were in there, and that's originally when they built it.
okay.
And,
So the dentist bought it subsequent to that.
Oh, it was medical, and then it
Yes.
became dental, okay.
and that, I don't know about spacing everything on what's there now, based on what could be there next. I mean, obviously it can accommodate at least 2 doctors' offices. and
Well, if there's a
those
change of
patients.
use coming in, then they have to come in front of the planning board anyway.
Yeah, but if we're
Medical.
providing spaces for this building, which is not part of that property,
But that's
Based on the
that
current
property owner's
use.
problem.
Yeah, I think
right?
we-
And that's there's an effect on value and resale, right?
So then they may not have enough parking for
Yeah.
a future
Right, because
use.
it'll have to be a binding agreement between the two parties, between the two entities.
And
or-
adding a second dentist or working 5 days a week that's change of use?
I mean, a change of use is change of use. If they get a second dentist and they don't have enough parking at their location because they have an agreement with the neighboring parcel to provide parking, then they'll have to find appropriate parking. If they have a parking problem, then the parking enforcement officer will have to enforce it and violate, site violations.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's a thread that unravels, but we can't kind of solve every extent of any possibility. I mean, I think it's a good point. I'm not trying to suggest that it's not, but there are a lot of there's a lot of opportunity to catch a problem, such as the change of use, the parking enforcement, code enforcement, et cetera.
And I think to your point, Karen, I mean, if the legal agreement, if it gets to that, says that the business is open Tuesdays and Thursdays or whatever, any expansion of that, I think would trigger, looking at that again too. I mean.
Right, a change in the, yeah. I mean, I think that's something else that we want to weigh in on is, or at least have the opportunity to look at, and I guess I'm kind of speaking for Sarah.
Yeah.
The binding agreement, I mean, you can't, it would be nice to get our eyes
Well, it
on
would be a
it.
declaration of easement, and I think we would make it subject to, my review and approval.
Sure.
But, I'm just trying to think, I mean, these are two separate buildings, so it would be an issue between the two private entities that would be affected by this essentially. Trying to think.
But I think a lot of times, like when you do a subdivision or whatever, there's easements that are created that are under get a look by the village council and things like that, and before anything is approved, so.
Right, but to Mike's point, that if they increase the operation of the current medical building, and all of a sudden they're out of spaces, I don't think that a parking enforcement official would be able to solve it.
Well, they wouldn't be able to solve it, but if you have people backed up on the street and.
Oh, certainly, yeah, fair.
It would be the result, I mean, but how could you operate a functional business if you don't have parking? You know what I mean? Like.
Right, but you'd be probably dealing with a situation where someone's coming in and you say, oh, well, we've got 13 spots on the site plan, and.
I mean, I do think the spots would need to have signage to
Right.
indicate that they are not for the dentist's office.
Right,
Yeah.
but that would belie potentially what they're planning on doing here, which is using those spaces
shared.
when someone's not there, when the office is closed, or overnight.
Well, I guess the signage could be created in such a way that, during business hours, you can't park here, but after 6:00 PM, anyone can park there, whatever residents
You're
of.
talking about signage in the parking lot.
Yes, in the parking lot, in the various spaces or whatever. It's like, you can't park in this space during business hours, but after hours, if you're a tenant of the adjacent building, you could. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously a complicated and not totally desirable situation, but,
Yeah.
there are benefits and there are negatives, and that's the whole idea.
Did you find anything about what they were talking about here with the performance bond?
I mean, I'm sure I did, but I wasn't looking for it, so I didn't read it if I saw it.
Like,
I was on a mission looking for what keywords. I can look into it later.
I don't know if a performance bond was ever posted, only because I know Bob Marini, when he owned it as Arch Street Partners, he had to come before the planning board yearly or every other year, basically to renew the site plan. So due to economic conditions, he wasn't going to build the building, and then unfortunately he passed away, so.
Sorry, I want to say this before I forget. Well, let me ask you this, Sarah. Could we put a condition on the site plan approval that there would only be so many dentists or whatever at the medical office building? Not under this circumstance, but if they were a co-applicant,
I mean, that property would have to be the subject of an application before this board. I mean, if you have to amend the site plan, you have to come back here anyway.
Yeah.
For that. I mean, you certainly couldn't condition it on this application alone. You can't affect another property
Right.
because
Right.
it's not before the board at this point.
But how does that work?
I mean, you typically, if it's not on a site plan, I think if it was a special use permit, and you're talking about operations, certainly. But for a site plan, it's really not, you're not supposed to condition upon the operations of the business for that.
And how does that work with the provision in the village code here that you can provide off-site parking within, 100 feet?
500.
Yeah, or whatever it is. So
Yeah,
how does
100.
that work? Because I know like the bed and breakfast parks over here and things like that, so.
the bed and breakfast?
The station in.
Yeah, the Station Inn parks up
Right,
behind
right.
CVS here, so how does that all work? I mean, it's hard with the village because it's just like you're trying to do the best you can with what you've got.
Well, I think that parking within a certain distance is superseded by the B1 Planning Board's ability in the B1 to waive any and all parking.
Well, as long as it's adequate for the
Yes.
proposed use.
Yeah, I mean,
My fear is I just don't want to open up Pandora's box with an amended site plan on the medical building property. I mean, if it could be done with an easement, a legal document, great, an agreement between two parcels, but, you don't want to open up a whole amended site plan on another parcel.
yeah, I think we have some questions to
Yeah,
get.
because I'm
where
gonna have
there's
to
like-
look into that as well, because if the parking spaces were dictated by the square footage at the time, it really doesn't have anything to do with the operation. So if you need 13 spaces for that square footage for the building, you're grandfathered in at those 13 spaces, you need it, so you would have to come back for an amended site plan. If you could get a better,
Right.
ratio under the current code.
Yeah. I think what we're going to have to do is like, number one, give a synopsis. I'll work with Amanda on that, but also we need some real definition of a path forward, because I need to have a conversation with the owner about whether this is worth going forward or not, because, there's a lot of pieces that need to be resolved.
Right.
And I need to make him aware before we get too far in the weeds on this.
Yeah, so the waiver on the 11 spaces that this project theoretically would have needed, that holds, I'm guessing, when you said that?
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm gonna be looking into, but presumably if the site plan is still valid and those waivers are connected to the site plan, there is a high potential that those are still valid. I just wanna dig into that a little further, but,
Another thought based on use, by the way, is that you went from 2 apartments to 4 apartments, which is sort of inherently at least 4 cars versus inherently 2 cars. And I know it's not what's based on, it's based on square footage, but if we're going to
well,
start
no,
feeling
so
things out.
for the residential uses,
Yeah.
those are based on dwelling units.
So what's a dwelling unit?
It would be the apartment.
It's a
But
dwelling
in
unit,
any
a
event, it's
bedroom
the
or-
same number of bedrooms, because they
Bedroom
were
units.
1 bedrooms, and
Right.
now they're 2-bedroom
I
apartments.
know, but from the car standpoint, you have 4 different residences, probably 4 cars at least, versus 2 residences where you have 2 cars, potentially more, but obviously, you can have 12 cars, but it's not, the cars don't count by bedrooms, I don't think,
No, it
It
was
goes
a-
by dwelling unit.
Yeah, and it was a mix of the-
One per apartment.
The commercial use and the residential use.
Yes,
And it
Right.
was-
that's right.
Yeah.
And that 11 were required, so we're holding to that 11 requirement, so.
But we're not, though, we're probably waiving that, because you don't have any parking.
Correct.
dedicated.
We
Yeah.
never had, any, well,
Right.
originally, way down in the very beginning, we had, I think, 2 parking spaces in the back.
Okay.
Then the building got bigger, and so, this is going back in history, so.
Yeah, I think we have some homework to figure out exactly what has been approved to date and the timeline of the code changes. I'll dig in on that part,
Yeah.
obviously, and the validity of the waivers.
Okay.
I mean, that's certainly gonna help inform your client as to what he's looking at here.
Sorry, what were you getting at with this performance bond?
Oh, no, I just saw it was mentioned in here, along with the parking that was yet to be paid. There was a performance bond that was agreed to. That's all I know.
All right, so we've got some work to do, I guess.
Thinking.
Yeah, no, it's
Thinking.
just,
And I'm looking at Sarah.
Sorry, I'm making
no,
my
it's
notes
okay.
on what I need to.
Yeah, so going back to the waiver, if you determine that the waiver has standing, then if they choose to do any parking at all, that's something that they're offering,
Right.
right?
That was my point too. It's
Yeah,
like,
no, I
yeah,
know.
you know, we waived 11 spaces, go find them somewhere else. But I think in an effort to make the situation a little better, we do have additional parking that's not used that we could get into an easement possibly on the neighboring property.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to see though, if those 12 spaces are still required by the use. Because under the code in which that building was originally
Yes.
permitted, you needed those 12 spaces.
And I
for
would
that.
assume it's probably the same,
Right.
most likely.
So, but we should double check that, because if that's changed at all, and, you know, maybe you'll need less, there's the opportunity for the planning board now to amend that site plan, that original site plan. But I think legally, right now, you would need the 12 spaces dedicated to the medical building use.
You do have 13, right? Was it
Yeah, I think we have what's required. I believe what's required is what there is on the medical building.
But if the operation is changed and they don't need the original amount of parking places, they have to come back and do an amended site plan. Correct?
Yes.
Only if they're sharing.
If they're
If they're
gonna,
gonna
if
share.
they're planning
Yeah.
on
They're gonna share.
sharing it, yes.
But otherwise, if
Is the-
those waivers are still valid, we could just say, no, you can't park here, you need to find a spot on the street.
Yes, that.
Right, we're just trying to
we
make a
would like to
situation
avoid that
better.
as much as-
Right.
I would like to see that avoided as much as
Right.
possible.
Right.
Yeah.
And can you go over the variances that you're seeking from the
There,
zoning board?
lot coverage, building coverage, and FAR were the three variances that were given on
Mm-hmm.
the property. So we would be revisiting that with the ZBA.
And if they want a lesser variance,
Honestly, this building being brick, with all the details and everything that they were required to make it match Charles Coleman, I don't think it's worth it to make the building any smaller financially because it's such a weird lot. And it's right next to the medical building, which thankfully is under the same ownership right now. But to build that isolated, it's kind of like the Flatiron building. It's very narrow, so it's going to be difficult to build and expensive to build. So I think that needs to be weighed in how they look at moving forward.
does that factor into why it went from 2 apartments, 4-bedroom total, 2-bedroom apartments each to 4 apartments, 4 bedrooms?
I think the 2-bedroom units were a little on the large side because and it works better with 1-bedroom units just having 2 apartments because they were kind of oversized. They had like an office in them and stuff, so they were a little oversized as 1 unit per floor.
Okay. I don't have any other comments.
So what do we want to do from here? Do you want to look into the parking force before we were to declare ourselves?
I think you're okay
intent?
to
Yeah.
declare. I mean, the point of waiting is to make sure you have a pretty well vetted site plan and know all of the actions and approvals that you need. And we know all the approvals and the site plan's not changing based on this discussion, so.
Just to keep the ball rolling. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. I didn't know if you wanted to just talk to,
No, I mean,
Talk to the
we can
owner
start the
first
process. If we, you know, if we pull the application, we pull the application. But
Yeah, and you're supposed to do seeker as early as possible, so to get it started tonight would probably, I would recommend it, so.
all right.
So you can make a motion to
Yeah,
declare
right.
yourselves lead agency for the purposes of seeker, and,
Intent, declare, right?
Yeah. I'll
and
make that motion that we do, declare ourselves lead agency. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
and Karen, this would be on this, correct?
Yes.
So you can type it as an unlisted action this evening, if you'd like to make a motion.
I'll make that motion that we type in as unlisted action.
Yes.
Can you get a second?
What's that mean?
So an unlisted, under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, there are certain actions which are listed type 1s, which require the most stringent review.
I got it.
There's actions which are type 2, which require no review, or no further review, and then there's unlisted. Most things that, well, everything that doesn't fall into either one of those lists is an unlisted action.
Yes.
But an unlisted action still can require a very thorough review.
Yeah.
It's just the type 1 are like, you know, rise to the top is like, okay, we're gonna really have to look
Yep.
at this.
Yep, no, I've read that now, and now I understand what we were saying.
Yes.
So I second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you want to look into the parking? Should we refer them to the zoning board, or?
Yeah, I think we could refer them to the zoning board.
Yeah. Yeah. When you want to make that application is up to you, but,
Yeah.
yeah, but at least it keeps things rolling.
right, at least you'll have the authorization.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll just make an appointment with you to kind of sit down and
You let me know
re-review the
first,
file.
that's great.
We'll do that, okay. All right. So do we need to do a formal referral to the ZBA, or?
No,
I don't think
it's-
so. Yeah, I mean, you guys can, if you want it clear on the record, you can certainly do so, but I don't think there's a legal requirement for it.
All right. All right, well, have a good night, Kurt.
I'm still here.
48 East Main Street is next on the agenda.
All right. So I think last time we were before you, we had a concept plan for the lot on the corner of Smith Street and
No, Spring Street, right?
Spring Street, excuse me.
Yeah.
Spring Street, yeah. Spring Street and East Main Street. So the lot currently has, there's a 2.5-story existing building on the site, which has 5 one-bedroom apartments in it right now. So the concept is to tear that down and rebuild a 15-unit apartment building with all one-bedroom units, 3 floors, very similar in scale to 71 East Main Street. So it'd be a similar building to that. So these will all be one-bedroom units though.
That's the Pauling Commons building
Yes.
towards the road.
Correct. It's
Right.
finished. And finally all rented. Yes. So we create that building here, so 15 units. We have a parking area here on the east side, which would be 19 spaces. So that would be 1 space for each unit plus 4 additional spaces for visitors, whatever it becomes. So that would be there. I believe it does fall under the urban regulations for the shop front
Type 1.
type 1. So we've got that, and this would require a special permit also for allowing residential uses on the first floor of the building. Basically, there's no, again, similar to the Pauling Commons, there's no public parking basically along East Main Street. So it's really not conducive to having the feel like Charles Cullen Boulevard, East Main Street over here for the majority of this section, where you can park going to several buildings. So I think there's a good argument of why we would have residential uses on the first floor there. We will try to connect this. There is a sidewalk system that runs on the west side of East Main Street. So we connect with a crosswalk that comes across here just to get into the circulation path. But I don't think an isolated commercial use would be appropriate at this site here. In addition, all the units on the first floor here would be type B handicap accessible units here as well. So done our best to comply with the urban regulations here, and I think the only thing outstanding is, if we ran into it, like, the zero
Required.
required front lot line. So obviously, we can see we've got a curved line here. That's the edge of the road, so it really doesn't, we've put it as close to the road as we can here, but I don't think we're gonna get zero, and it wouldn't make sense to make it zero, but we
Yeah.
are bringing it to create an edge as you come around the corner there.
How far off the road are you?
Right here, probably 3 feet or so to the property line, and then we've got so probably 10 feet at its closest point, 10 feet off the road. So we'll have to put a guardrail in, obviously, like that, so.
And the entrance to the building is on Spring Street?
The entrance to the building is here on Spring Street, yes. Or here, entrance to the building is here.
And the ground slopes down, right, from East Main there?
It's basically, the lot is pretty flat. It's right here, we have a
Okay.
slope here from this corner, goes down to the side. This is fairly flat.
Okay.
So we enter Spring Street here, come in, have the apartments flanking either side here. And again, it would have a similar look. We'll play with colors and materials, maybe stone veneer here. 3-story building, so. In terms of, there was a couple questions here, I think. A lot of it was engineering stuff that we will need to get into and respond to, but I think Karen had some questions or comments.
Yeah, sorry,
here.
no, I'm just looking at this, number 4 and 5.
There's
I
4 and 5 look
clearly
like they
got
came from
confused
somewhere
with-
else.
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I was like, oh,
Sorry about
no
that.
problem.
Yeah, you didn't have the zoning bulk table.
Yeah, so we
you'll-
have added that to the site plan, so
Okay.
again, we're in compliance with the B1 and the urban regulations, except for that one question of how that's going to be interpreted by the board.
That property, the budding property, is that also B1?
Yes,
It is.
yeah, this is all B1, this is residential over here, but this is all B1 as it goes.
Yeah, along East Main. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I know when they did the analysis with all the vacant properties that we had when the village did have water concerns, we were assured that there would be enough water. I don't think that was in that formula at the time. Will we, with all this build out, is there gonna be a problem with the water that we have under control right now? Are we gonna find ourselves in a critical situation with additional buildings of this size?
I don't think we have 10 units additional, so if we're 110 per bedroom per day, so we're like 1,000 gallons a day, 1,100 gallons a day, in addition to what we're using right now. So it's fairly negligible in terms of.
Don't forget, we have, the Henches could be coming before us in the future.
Okay,
So that was in that calculation.
right.
This wasn't in the calculation. I just want to make sure that we have enough water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we asked as our first question here to reach out to the Water Department, Pauling Joint Sewer Commission, but basically needs to get a letter from Cedarwood, which is the village's water engineer, and to ascertain if there's adequate capacity. I think with the new wells on site, that there is no question that there's adequate capacity, but that's a pro forma thing
Yeah.
that any applicant has to do.
And again, just going through, we'll do a full landscaping plan on the project here. We've started the application with SHPO. I just need to get some photo documentation to them to get their response as to the status of that building.
Yeah.
Special permit again, just the location along East Main Street there, and it's access to street parking and the sidewalk and the ability to have accessible units on the first floor. I think that's the main rationale of considering a special permit to allow the residential uses there. The potential impacts to traffic network, again, we're 5 units now, where we have a net gain of 10 units, 1-bedroom units. So we do have the intersection at Spring Street. There's pretty good sight distance there because the street kind of curves the other direction, so that's good. And there is another access going the other direction, it goes out onto Coulter Avenue. So there's two ways in and out.
I think
to
if
the
you could provide, you know, just some
Trips per
narrative, trip generation.
Yes.
Just, you know, so that we've
Yeah.
looked at it
Yeah,
and.
but I do think it's somewhat negligible,
I-
but we will provide the
Yeah,
documentation.
I think it's just to for those of us that don't know as well what is negligible and what is not,
Yes,
let's
that's
get
fine.
let's get a number to it. One thing that the engineer pointed out to me was that retaining wall at the rear of the site, or
Yeah.
I guess is north up on your, or north is,
Yeah, so the retaining.
north is up, yeah, so the
Yeah.
retaining wall at the north edge.
Right.
We were concerned, we can't tell where those
think-
trees are, if they're on your property or if they're on the neighbor's property, but we're concerned that the weight of it would be detrimental to the livelihood of those trees.
Yeah, I think what we're gonna try to do here is actually, look at the building code a little bit here and see if we can get this so we can depress this sidewalk that would require that retaining wall as much,
Okay,
as a secondary means of egress from the building, so. We are looking at that, see if we can eliminate that or reduce it at least.
what happens if you move the building south, like if you shift the whole building south? Just curious as to why.
We probably could move it just a little bit, again, I was just trying to keep it off this corner, but we could pull it this way just a bit, keep it off this building and that, so we could.
Were you thinking to keep it off the corner just to kind of like
Well, we have site
provide
distance too,
the
on
site
campus.
distance and then
Right.
also provide the linkage with the, yeah,
Correct.
okay. And what sort of landscaping are you considering?
I mean, we'll do evergreen landscaping, mature of some sort, just so they're not puny, to give us some screening on there between the adjacent parcels. I know the owner, Artur, he is concerned for his neighbors, and gonna try to work with them as much as possible. We potentially could put a fence too, in addition to some plantings along this property line to give us a little bit more.
I'll let the planning board weigh in on that. What's the width that you have on that edge between the parking lot?
10 feet.
Okay, so you got some good space there.
So if we did a fence that would block some, any headlights or whatever, plus evergreen planting, I think we'd
Yeah,
have ample space there.
yeah. I don't have any other comments.
Lou, Mike?
No, I'm thinking, not right now, no.
What, just so I know what to kind of expect, because I think we've tried to comply with zoning as much as possible. It's just that one question is like, where is this going to fall in terms of, are we going to have to go to the ZBA, or can this board kind of look at that setback issue?
Which issue?
Well, I don't know if it's an issue or not, the zero required front
Oh,
setback.
the zero required? Yeah, I mean, we've,
This board would not be empowered to waive
We don't
any
waive.
requirement of the code
Yeah,
or
that's,
give you relief from the code. You would
Well,
have to go to the
I
zoning.
don't even know how to interpret it, because it's a weird thing in the code, because it's nice equal blocks on the way it's set up. We ran into it with 67.
I think we got to see the bulk table and see, firm that the ZBA is the one that grants variances, right? The planning
Yeah.
board doesn't do that.
Understood.
But I do think we need to see the bulk table to get some understanding of what you're talking about, so that, you know.
yeah, that one specifically, the 0 feet required. Again, we didn't really apply it up there just because of that site being so big.
No, I understand, but.
And I know it's meant for sidewalks, and we're trying to create that wall of keeping the buildings in the B1
Correct.
out there.
So I think the intent is here. It's just that I don't even know what the letter of the law is in terms of how that's interpreted. 0 feet required is weird.
To the edge of the sidewalk. I mean, you're trying to create
Yeah,
that street front, right?
Correct.
Like with the buildings down the sidewalk.
Yes.
Like it's a specific look. Like
Yeah.
it's,
because again, the urban regulations also call for awnings and balconies and stuff that come over the property line, which makes no sense.
well, that's the
And
one thing they
garden
did allow.
walls.
The awnings was the one protrusion that you can have on a building to a certain extent. It was like 2 feet that you're allowed to come out
Right.
to create that depth, like
Yes.
on those facades when you're
Right.
trying, when you're creating that.
Right.
those
But you can't even
walls.
do, I mean, just theoretically, I mean, if you put a footing in too, if your building faces here, your footing's gonna go out into property that's not yours. So there's some things that intent is good, but in reality, don't quite work.
If you have a sidewalk, I mean, if you're building and you own the sidewalk, sure, you're disturbing that area and you can get your footings into that area. I mean, there is no sidewalk here that is out on the street that would make sense to pull the building out right to the road. Which
Right.
makes kind of no sense, like, for
Correct.
this, unless there was gonna be a sidewalk put in on that side of the street. Now, with it being a corner lot and following what the urban regs are saying, would it be a better fit if it was kind of pulled to the corner a little bit more to create that corner?
Again, I think
of
we
the
have,
building that's,
I think since we're so close to the edge of the existing road curb cut on East Main Street, if you're at the stop line, you want to be able to see.
You can't see around it.
You can't see through the corner of the building.
right, with no sidewalk there, you're not
Correct.
given that
Right.
sight line. And that's a tough one, it's kind of does come uphill, it is.
But I mean, you do get good sight line at least in
You
both
can see-
directions, which is
You
good.
can see when you do come up, and it's one of those spots that's hard to turn in if somebody's pulling out of there. That street Spring Street's kind of narrow right there,
Mhm.
for whatever reason. Like, you can still do it, but
Mhm.
it's not great. It's funny you brought up the Flatiron.
Like, yeah.
So it's I mean, it's
On that-
possible-
yeah, on
it's
that other
possible to
project,
shape
yes.
to the- It's possible to shape to the street's edge.
And Kurt, have you confirmed with the building inspector whether the 25-foot setback from the residential zone applies to the parking lot or not?
It may not, because this is B1 and they want the parking 4 feet from the rear setback. So I think that since it's specific in the urban regulations,
Yeah.
where parking goes, I think that supersedes the setback, I would think, in the bulk regulations.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
It would be
You may want to get a determination from the code enforcement officer, just get that in writing so
That's fine.
that you have that.
Yeah.
It would be in the urban regs that shows where.
Well, the urban regs show that it's like
Parking.
4 feet, but the bulk table, so I think the bulk table trumps the bulk regulations unless there's something that's not in the urban regulations, then you go to the bulk regulations, you look at that. But if it's in the urban regulations, that supersedes
Yes.
what's in the bulk.
Yes.
Are you gonna do some landscaping within that parking lot? Like some tree islands or?
Oh, probably not tree islands, we'll probably just,
Yeah, like bump outs?
oh, I don't think we don't have room for bump outs in there, but I think we'll certainly bring this thing, we'll have plantings here, plantings around here, this would all be planted nicely, this would be all, so I think we'll get a lot of planting in there. There's only 19 spaces, so there's not,
If you made it a little bigger, would you be able to do that?
what's that?
The parking lot?
I don't think we have a whole lot of room to make things
No,
bigger.
probably, you could probably get like one.
Yeah, it's tight.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah, again, it's only 19 spaces, but I think we're trying to, landscape this heavily around the perimeter.
Is there not some need for recreational space, or is that not because of the zone? I don't know,
Yeah, and
I
that's,
know I've read that kind of thing, where that does apply in certain, I don't know if it's because it's a B1 that it doesn't apply, but just, that's a question.
Yeah, I don't think that in the
B1.
B1, it's very difficult to do that. I think we rely on the parks that are in the village and town,
Yeah,
things like that.
okay.
I don't remember ever seeing anything about required recreation
No.
space in the code.
it's
But
large,
certainly not for B1.
large lots.
Yeah, large lots maybe, but yeah,
It's within the
within
village.
the village center, it's very difficult to provide
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, just looking at the elevation, it seems strange that you're kind of looking at, I know it's not the back of the building, but it almost looks like the back of a building, just because of the length of the building. The front entrance, I know, is off of Spring Street.
We also have a building right here too. You're gonna come.
Right, which the front of the building, the front's East Main Street.
Yes.
That's just, doesn't really look like the front of the building, I guess it's a side, depending which way you look at a building, if it's in
Yeah,
narrow or long.
right.
But you generally think that wherever you have the most road frontage would kind of be your front of your building.
But you really can't enter, you're not gonna.
No, I know you can't enter there, I'm just saying that architecturally it looks like a side of a building on the main street that runs through there.
Well, I can look at, see if there's any other options to maybe make that look a little different. It's just, it is theoretically the back of the building, but it'll be,
Yeah.
it's hard working with the parking lot here servicing the building and the street here.
No,
And
I understand.
I mean, we ran into that with the restaurant too, and trying to make all sides look,
Right,
as nice as possible.
How long is the building?
80 feet long,
80?
yeah.
Now, where are you on the build-out, frontage, build-out coverage? Because that's supposed to be 80%, right, in the urban regs?
I mean, 90, it's pretty high.
Yeah, I think it's 90, and then you
Yeah.
have to put garden walls where you're missing, so.
Yeah, so it's like, on one hand, the urban regs are asking for
Yes.
long.
To fill in that space, because
Yeah.
you're trying to create that
Yeah.
street wall. I
Yeah.
mean, right,
Right.
not a 30-foot high one necessarily.
Because it depends on the size
Yeah,
of
it's-
the
I
building.
guess.
I mean, the height
yes,
is
the building can be
compliant, though,
30.
yes.
Yes, the height's
The
compliant,
height's
yeah.
compliant with the code, so.
Yeah. I mean, you got the big church there, you've got some,
And you got that weird little house there.
yeah, that creates an edge.
Yeah.
But you got Julian Stewart's on the other side, so.
Not that I don't like, I think the siding does fit in. It's got that, the rural character with the stone and the board and batten, which
Yeah.
does fit in what you did, happened at Pauling Commons. Which,
Yeah, and I think the board was kind of, the impression I got from the board through several go-arounds with various other projects is we're kind of tired of the red brick, so let's, think of some other options. You want cohesive look in the village, but they all don't need to look exactly the same.
Right, Delaney said that. There's very good examples throughout the village that just warrant the Dutcher House.
Yeah. So I guess respond to as many of these comments we can, get this back to the board, and then we can start seeker.
Yeah, I mean, we need to have a bulk table, so we know what is in play,
Yeah.
yeah.
And again, how are we going to determine that issue with zero required? How is that going to be resolved?
Right, within there with building placement, there's 3 or 4. I think specific.
You're saying
As
in
far as
addition to
building
that, there
placement.
are
Yeah,
other potential variances needed, is that what you're saying?
it
Yeah,
might be.
I think we're compliant with everything else, with depth of building, this, that, and the other things. So I think we're compliant with everything else. It's just a matter of that zero.
Yeah.
So everything else I think we can resolve, so however that's going to be viewed.
Yeah, the parking in the rear. Like, it's just, it's annoying little things like that. If you're saying that was the rear of the building, and parking's supposed to be in the rear, like, that's just.
Well, that's.
Yeah, the parking's supposed to be in the rear, yeah.
Which would be.
I mean, but from a
I-
zoning standpoint, even if that's what Kurt said, that side on East Main Street cannot be a rear. It's a front.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's a front, and the side on Spring is a front.
Yeah.
And then there's a side, and then there's a rear. So
Right.
let's not get confused.
Yeah.
on
No,
that.
It's very hard, again, and we've been around this block several times. It's like, that's a good guide. Those urban regulations are a great guide, but they don't really fit with urban fabric that's existing to a T. So you kind of have to look at it and
When you build.
try to get to the intent as best possible.
I get it, when you're trying to build in blocks, like.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
it's a
Everything's
square
not
lot.
rectangular
I
on
get
it,
it.
yeah.
So you want it to look like it has a front on East Main Street. Is that what you're saying, Rob?
It would be nice. I feel like as you're coming down, like, you're not really looking at the side of any buildings as you come really anywhere in the village. Even when you drive down the Dutcher House and you're going on Arch Street, there's fronts. They kind of made the side of the building seem like a front. There's doors. It's not just a bank of windows on that entire side.
But you're not gonna want doors onto.
No, I don't think you want sliding glass doors out of someone's living room that open
No,
onto.
but the appearance, that it's not just the side of the building. I mean, Dwayne does talk about, like, that spot that you're almost standing there is important as you come down the hill, because this is our main entrance. Like, talked about the gateway coming in, like, the restaurant, and you come down, and Dwayne mentions how important, like, the CVS property was, because you you have the nice steeple from the church as you're driving down that hill, and how important it was to make sure that the CVS property, if it ever gets built out, is built properly, because it's one of the first things you see as you enter down into the village.
Right.
And I feel like with a building this big as you did it, and I think you
Well, I think
got to a nice solution with Pauling Commons, and you get that feel.
Well, I think we're gonna have slightly skewed too, because you're coming down, you're gonna hit this corner, so you're gonna see this front elevation as well as this side elevation. You're gonna kind of get that view. I mean, you're not hitting this like dead on here.
Right.
You're kind of coming along that. And also the way the property drops off here, this is higher. So like half of this first floor will be kind of,
Sunken. It's going
Yeah.
to seem lower, the
Exactly.
opposite of having Pauling Commons where you were higher than
Right.
the street level.
right. But we'll look at options there and just see if there's anything we can do. So next
Yeah, I
step.
mean, sorry, just another thought. I mean, a building fronting on the street makes a lot of sense when you have like a
It's not-
pedestrian
Yes.
dominant
Yeah,
environment, you know, like the East Village, right?
Sure.
But like here, they need access to the cars, and then you have to have, the ADA access ways can't exceed a 5% slope, right? And I mean, you know, these are just my thoughts, but Kirk can modify it to appear as if I mean, theoretically, he could modify it to appear as if there's an entrance on East Main Street, but it's a falsehood. Is that, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't,
Right. No, I understand what you're saying.
I don't know that that's the intent either.
Well, that is going to be, that means there's going to be a sidewalk in the front there. I'd have to, can you do more like renderings as far as what the property would look like with 3D on
yeah, we can
the
do,
parcel?
we can do a quick 3D rendering of the thing, then we can spin around and you can take a look at it and set yourself on the road and look at it and
Yeah.
see it that way.
Just to get an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it does, it's going to be it's just a long building
Understood.
that's there.
Is there any real, like, lobby or anything inside on the first
Yes.
floor? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is that in the building? Theoretically, it's aligned with the entrances, but,
Basically, this here, this lobby where the mailbox is, it's Main Street, your entry.
yeah, right,
So it's basically this.
yeah. Okay.
I just think for me, it's when we can apply the urban regs, I'd like to see us get as close as we can to the design, even like, it's a lot of windows on that side. I know you have to have the windows for each one of them, but let me just, like, even, and you know, like, with the way you talked about the scaling of the windows.
Yeah.
Like, is that appropriate, especially that it's gonna be the most noticeable side of the building, really, as you drive by it. I don't know if I have the elevations there.
It's closer to the street than the existing building by a lot.
Right.
It's also, and I understand what the urban regs are getting at, and that intent and that idea that it's intuitively makes sense to me in the village, right, where you're on the street, you have sidewalks, and it's city-like. This, I just don't, it doesn't, and they apply, but I would be more inclined to I would feel more comfortable with the exception. I think moving it closer to the street and putting entrance on the street would be a less desirable.
Oh, no, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't think,
Yeah, no,
I don't
absolutely
think we
not.
can do that.
I think it's just
No.
the size of it at all is the only sense I have. I want to stand up and see what's that going to look like. This three-story building here, all of a sudden it's on the street where there's nothing there now. And, you know, that's what I would want to look at. And that, I realize it's not or code or anything, that's just more character.
Yeah, but again, we can create that 3D rendering, just
Yeah.
a massing model basically with some windows in it, so you can see what it's gonna look like.
The residences across the street from there are kind of elevated, so they're not going to be dwarfed by it.
They're actually not, I think this is across from the parsonage. from the church property.
Yeah.
So I think
Oh, is
that,
it that far down?
yeah, the-
It's like the northern, I'm
Yeah, I
sorry,
think-
the
Yeah, it
southernmost
Yeah,
part.
it is.
Yeah, you're right.
yeah, the houses, I think, that are
Right.
high are across from Jillian Stewart's
Right.
office, I believe.
Right. You're right.
And you have no intent of trying to put commercial on the first floor? I mean, to say that it wouldn't be possible, you have Jillian Stewart's that is on the other corner, which is commercial space.
It is, yeah, but I don't think this really, I mean, who's gonna, I think what works well with a village setting and like that, having, is you can park on the street and go to 5 different shops. This is gonna be dedicated, it's like off the corner. Pauling Commons is different because we have all the parking on that site. This is gonna have parking basically for the residences. If we do, you're needing 5 parking spaces for the first floor of this, 1 per unit. If you went to a commercial use, you'd need 15. So there's 10 more parking spaces would need to be dedicated to commercial use on this site if you went commercial. And just the access to it is just,
Right, from the sidewalk
Yeah.
isn't ideal for walking. It's the B1. And I'd like to see the biggest effort made to utilizing the B1 for what it is, more than as much as possible.
well, I think the mix, I don't know if it needs to be solely in the building. I mean, if you create more residential uses there, theoretically, they're gonna use more commercial uses in the other parts of the B1. So maybe it doesn't have to be on the same lot. You're creating that dynamic that lets people live there, shop there, eat there, work there, all these things happen in the B1 district. So. So forge ahead with the comments that Karen and Tom created.
I would
Yeah.
say so. Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's the next step, and then maybe next month we can maybe do an intent to declare and move ahead.
Yeah, I think you should plan on going to the zoning board.
Okay. I mean, it seems,
I mean,
to me, it seems fairly straightforward that it's just a procedural step which needs to happen, but it seems like it makes sense
I mean,
for-
Sarah can take a look at that, if it's so illogical, I don't know that she can void it. I don't know that she could invalidate it,
Yeah, I
even
don't-
if that was the case.
Understood. So,
But I just, I don't want to delay you. It's like, it is what it is.
yeah, so we should start formulating that.
You should start
application as well.
planning to go to the zoning board.
Okay. But then we'll have when you get a chance to take a look at this, maybe we can do it preemptively, maybe, and just kind of take a hard look at the bulk regulations that we've set up, the bulk table, and look at it and just make sure that we're all in agreement that that might be the only one, or if there's something else that comes
Oh,
up.
yeah. I mean, I
So,
need to see the bulk.
just so we can do
Yep.
that,
Yeah. You shouldn't go until we know exactly
Of
what's in
course.
play.
Okay, great.
And maybe in your response, you can go through the code requirements for the special use permit.
Sure.
Just the considerations for the board, and maybe
Of course.
have some responses for those. I think that'll help your.
Yeah, we've done that in the past, so we'll just create that again. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, renderings too, if you can
Yes.
give us a model.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Everyone have a good holiday, please.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
See you in the new year, if not
Take
sooner.
care, Kurt.
Hopefully.
Do we have any other business, Amanda?
We do, I sent everybody the 2026 meeting schedule. I hope that you guys had a chance to review it.
Bye. You sent it a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we approve this tonight?
Yeah, we'll need to for our January meeting.
Let's do that then.
Are there any exceptional date changes?
There wasn't,
Okay. Are they all the second Tuesday, more or less?
more or less.
Yeah.
It was more of like the 2 weeks in between for the review.
Oh, I see.
Looks fine to me.
The next meeting's on my birthday.
Wow.
Tonight, I ditched a dinner at Delmonico's to be here, so I'm on a roll, it's not coming to your meetings.
Well, now you'll have plenty of time to plan attend in January,
Yeah.
you just give me ample notice, please.
Yeah, that's true, that we really do need to know so we can
Yeah,
make sure
yeah,
that
no,
there's a
no.
quorum. Yeah, I know, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. It's worth
I
stating.
want to miss my very first one.
Yeah, yeah.
Just let me know, I am your friend, email me.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes, or approve the calendar for next year?
I'll make that motion that we approve the calendar for next year, 2026.
Second,
Second, yeah.
all in favor? Aye.
That's it, that's all I have.
Yeah, you gotta,
Motion? Oh, yes. Good. Open it up to,
You guys have been here a while. Jerry LaCascio, as a resident of the village, I just have a couple of quick points. On the Spring Street project, that's a good ask to have them do the 3D rendering, so you have a good look what it looks like coming in the village. Make sure you get one what it looks like going out. Because for every car coming in, you're gonna be seeing the backside and the side of the building.
right.
And I'm just curious how that's gonna look with the church and the steeple and all that. And Kurt was talking as if the B1, as if it's a given that he's gonna have residential on the bottom. I mean, it is B1. Can you think of any other buildings in the village of that size that doesn't have storefronts down below?
No,
Just food for thought for your next meeting, that's all, because I think that's important. Like you said, there's B1 for a reason, you know? He just wants to have the residential down below to squeeze more, have less parking and squeeze more apartments. It is B1. So the other point that I had is parking premium. On the Arch Street project, starting to split hairs with sharing a parking lot, even though they're both owned by the same business. You know, who's to say that the dentist doesn't want to open 4 days a week, and to have control over that on a code enforcement is, you can't do that. There's no way to have control over what they set their hours at. You know, it was set up as a medical building, 5 days a week use. If they don't want to use it that way, that's fine. That's what they were granted, that's why the spots are there. Just because they're only open 2 days a week now doesn't mean a year from now they're going to change it. And there's no oversight on what was the site plan given to the new owner or the new applicant. You know what I mean? 3 years from now, this all gets forgotten about, and then we got people parking out in the street, and people double parking and no place to go, and the store is now open 5 days a week again. So, just food for thought.
could I just make a comment to that? So I think the distinction that has to be made here is that at this point, they might not have to offer anything. If they're offering something,
Yeah, well, that's.
you know,
no,
that's kind
and I
of,
get
it's
it,
like,
And
you know.
that's deeply, I mean, that project was put in front of the planning board, what year?
2007, the Bay Area.
2000, so we're going by something that was granted in 2007. I mean, legally, we may have to do it, it's just absurd.
well, it's site plan expiration.
No, I
That's the
get
code
it.
that we have to work with.
I get that.
So-
I just think that's absurd. It's ridiculous that we have to, that you guys have to have your hands tied by that, but that's for a different topic. I understand what you're saying. But I think it's important for people that are watching to realize that it was 2007.
Yeah.
You know, the history and stuff, so. I know what you're saying. If we can get something out of it, better than nothing, but, anyway, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good points.
If we're not bound to that, it's like that decision back then, it's a whole new discussion.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it would essentially be a new application rather than an amended site plan.
Right.
But right now, the code is silent as to the expiration date of site plans, as opposed to the variances, which said if you don't get a building permit within a certain amount of time, they lapse.
Special use permit also expires.
Special use permits have expiration dates, so, yeah.
So what would have to be done to make it a stipulation that site plan approvals have an expiration date?
Simple code change.
Code change.
Just saying that if you don't obtain building permits within a certain amount of time, it lapses.
That's an action the village board has to do.
Well,
Yes.
Yep.
was the safeguard of that performance guarantees? Those could be a condition, like with the performance guarantee that's
Like the
written under the
performance
site plan?
bond,
Yeah,
Well, so the performance bond is so that if they don't do an aspect of the site plan that they were required to, then a town or the village could pull the bond and do the work for them at their cost. Yeah. But that wouldn't apply to the entirety of
The bond,
building.
right, no, I
It's like
understand
if
that.
they were planning on doing, certain plantings and didn't do it, then the
This is a
village
vested
could
right,
step
already
in and
established.
say, okay, we're gonna put plantings in and charge them against your bond.
Yeah, I guess it's,
Yeah.
I like the fact that you asked for that 3D rendering. I think that's gonna be important because I kept staring at its rendering and trying to visualize how that's gonna look. And initially, it's a difficult pill to swallow. That when you're coming down East Main Street, you're gonna see this. It's a big change, and a lot of people are reluctant to change, and I'm one of them. And to having that right on East Main Street, and I think that's good that you get that 3D rendering to see how it's gonna look. As Jerry said, when you're driving out of the village as well.
Yeah.
It's a big project to go in that
And if
spot.
you're coming in right now, what you're seeing there is the church.
Right,
You're looking straight through to the church, and now you're gonna be looking at a 3-story.
right.
right, ideally, I mean, within the B1, there should be sidewalks on both sides of the street, so you can create those street fronts, and that just.
And this is gonna be 10 feet off the street.
No, I know, and it doesn't necessarily, not that it couldn't work there in the future. The church isn't right up on the road, so there still could be a sidewalk there. There's that little house that's kind of almost on the road, which, next door to that one, which doesn't help for putting a sidewalk on that side of the street. And even on Spring Street's narrow now, so it would be hard to get sidewalks down Spring Street to loop back around to the school. Like, I don't think there's a sidewalk right now that goes to the elementary school from East Main Street. You're only on the one side of the street, and you cross down at the bottom by the auto body shop to get to the sidewalk.
I mean, I drive that street, I can't tell you how many times a day, and I'm gonna have to really pay attention to that corner now and actually see what it looks like. Because I know when you go around there, there's a stream, that you go over the stream, so I'm trying to visualize exactly where that parking lot's gonna be on that block.
I think it's right up against the stream. The stream will run right back along the back
So
side
it'll
of
be
the
right up
parking lot,
against
and there's
street.
that
So it'll be
house
right
with
on-
that
so it'll be
funny
right on the
retaining
cor- It'll
wall.
be right on the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, over the parking lot.
I don't think it backs right up to the stream. I thought the stream was some
No, the
distance off
parking
of
lot?
it. Yeah.
No, there's a house, there's a couple houses before you get to the street.
Before you get to the stream?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
On that side?
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
But going back to the massing of it, so the largesse of the structure, the thing about it is that those urban regs do require that the structure takes up 80%. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
I'm hearing what you're
Yeah, I
saying,
know.
but then you also have a code that's telling you,
That's
hey,
what
we
it has to
want you
be.
to have a really big building along East Main Street, you
Right, in
know?
fact, if you don't have 80%,
Yeah, you have to go to the zoning board, so like, it's a
I'm having
little,
trouble with that.
yeah.
It's a catch-22.
Yes.
But that's the B1, that's why.
Right, exactly.
That's the footprint of what the B1 should look like. Like, that's
And that's the footprint. I mean,
the footprint of the B1. You get outside of the B1 and then it starts scaling down, but that's, as you build out the B1, that's what was supposed to happen. You're
Yeah.
supposed to have these,
and if you
these
took 5
corridors.
apartments away if you took a 3rd floor away from that building, then you'd have enough parking spaces to put commercial on the 1st floor and residence on the 2nd floor. Because then you wouldn't need 5 more parking spaces for the apartments upstairs. You'd get them back to give to the commercial space, which needs more parking. And it wouldn't be, I know, think about commercial space in terms of a lot of times, the conversation we're having seems to think in terms of mercantile, but it could also just be offices, real estate offices like what's across the street, things like that, that don't require foot traffic. They're gonna be people driving in and going there.
or it takes
Offices,
an
things like
odd-shaped
that.
building. Like he brought up the Flatiron Building, you could build an odd-shaped building
Well-
that follows the street front and follows the corner, and you can still get around and park in the back. Like, the Dutcher House is kind of
Yeah.
a U.
That is more expensive from a construction standpoint, yeah?
As,
And also,
I mean, I just, there's a lot that goes into a development program. I mean,
Sure.
I doubt, I mean, you guys will have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe the applicant is a seasoned professional developer.
he is.
He is?
He renovates city buildings in the city.
Oh, okay,
Really cool
okay.
stuff. Look it up online.
So I was gonna say, I don't know how a mixed-use development, if that'd be something you'd be able to handle, but okay, understood.
Well,
Or the owner.
familiarize yourselves with the requirements or the considerations for the special use permit. I mean, their ability to do the fully residential building is gonna hinge on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that
And there's-
that was changed, so it makes it much more acceptable for that,
What's that?
to allow residents on the first floor within the B1.
It's changed.
It is specifically noted south of East Main Street in Coulter.
Oh, okay.
That can be provided because of Pauling Commons is really what
Yeah, yeah.
we have that.
Right, I mean, it's practically across the street is the precedent why you can do it there, and it sort of fits. The idea of bringing it to the urban regs and bringing it to the street and creating a odd-shaped building that rides, it would be crazy.
Yeah, that was unique because it was its own large lot where
Yeah.
three buildings are, you still have that mixed use and, all right, you get one that has residential on the first floor.
I mean this one, not Pauling Commons. I mean this one, to try to do what you're describing, if you wanted to make that actually fit and go zero distance to the street and follow the street with an odd-shaped building, it would meet the code and the urban regs, but it would be crazy. It would be nutty building. It wouldn't fit.
Flatiron Building's famous for being nutty shaped, right? Like, there's a couple of those triangle buildings.
Well, yeah, but
Even the one
Those
that-
two Flatiron buildings in the village of Paul.
Right, the one on Arch Street is just gonna be, it's unique. Like, that's the kind of architecture I think adds character in a sense, as long as it's not done poorly. If it's done well, it can be attractive.
How is commercial use doing in the village? Do you guys have vacancies or, you know,
I don't know.
Well, right now, let's see, we have, right next to the Quick Stop, there's a vacancy, right? But that's, used to be the bike stop and a
Yeah.
Mexican store of some
The
kind.
Turk restaurant's out.
The Turk is out, but I think something's
We
in the
have
works
a
on
change
that,
of
right?
tenant
Oh,
in there
someone in
now.
there?
Yeah.
Mahaffey's, they
And then-
just have
They have a
something.
new tenant in there, they just got a permit. We have a new tenant, like, well, Carmel Creamery's
Mhm.
relatively
Right.
new. I did see that.
Oh, there's one right next to right next to the Village Hall, where the sheriff, the substation is. There's a vacancy right there on the ground floor.
Yeah, they've come in a couple times with a few different ideas, but nothing,
And then we have Tacos and Cones, that's still vacant.
well, they had the acai place in there, but now I see it's for sale again, so.
Is the business closed? And, because I saw that as well, and I wonder, well, maybe the building owner's selling, but the building's
I don't have any information until someone tries to go in there,
Yeah.
unless I just hear on the streets. But, so now we have, and then, the Ruby's Nest opened up on Charles Pullman.
Which one is that now?
That's the vintage,
Oh, yeah, that, okay, yes,
so,
Anderson place,
Right.
Danielle's place.
mhm.
what's happening with Pauling Commons in terms of their retail and/or service and commercial? Is
Toledo Plaza?
the former, not the former supermarket, but the,
Plaza.
yeah, the plaza, is it fully leased out?
Yeah.
It's full?
Mhm.
What, the bank? What's in the bank?
Oh,
My apologies, you're correct.
Okay.
I'm so used to the banking, when you go in the storefronts, we're all there.
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple of offices, the cleaners, the eye doctor,
Mhm.
Spirits.
I think the liquor store's in there.
there may be,
The liquor store's there.
there may be.
I think there's one vacancy where H&R Block used to be, that's vacant, isn't it?
No, they should be coming back now, it's tax time.
No, they have a place down there in, near Hannaford's, I believe.
Ah.
Yeah.
Any idea about what the Turks used to be?
Yeah, she's working on things, she has permits.
Oh, so it's something in the works?
Moving, it's honestly, because she has to get a liquor license, which is nothing to do with the building department, for the record. But she's got her change of tenant, she's gotten her permits to do the work inside, it's just now with the liquor license and
Good,
ironing things out, but that'll be a great.
that's good.
And you said the restaurant got their CO, you say?
They got that CO today.
Now, they still have to come to get approval to increase if they want more than 146, whatever it was, seats, is that what their approval is for? That they
I
got
would think so, yes.
Yeah, 'cause it was conditional on the water.
Right.
Presumably
It was,
that's been
you're right.
cleared up. Their
Yes.
original plan was 200, and so they still need to come here if they want to go up to whatever, anything over about 143 or 6,
I
whatever.
think it was 146.
Yeah, I think it was 146.
Yeah.
And that's all they're approved for. So that's all they should be okay for right now, and they should be parking in the plastic
Are you
plant.
gonna be counting?
I am gonna be counting.
If I see you out there on the corner, Mike, I know what you're doing.
I could sit in a room upstairs in my house and do that.
I know it seems disconnected, like some of the properties are within the B1, but I mean, eventually, we only have seen so much mixed-use space in the village. I mean, we have maybe 3 or 4 streets that really,
I just want,
Can-
I thought it was worth having a discussion to kind of understand where you guys stand.
no, I know,
Just a point.
and if anything, even if it is residential on the first floor, and that makes the most sense now, it would be nice to at least have the building properly built to accept for it to fit into the comprehensive plan eventually, and create that streetscape with the mixed use, and not just put it kind of on an island.
Well, you know, going back to what Jerry said, I mean, it is a B1 district, that's gonna be up to the ZBA. If they're gonna grant that variance to have just residential on the first floor.
No, that's
No,
special.
That's a special use permit for the
That's
planning
Yeah, that's
Oh,
board.
I thought that was a ZBA though.
No,
He was talking about the
I mean,
setbacks.
you're right that if there was a change in use, that would be a ZBA action, but in this code, the planning board is allowed to allow residential on the first floor if you get a special use permit, which is what we did at Arch Street, Sean's Arch Street,
Gotcha, okay.
and also over at
At Shaw's now,
at
the last one up
21
here.
West
at
Main,
West Main.
so, yeah. But you're on the right track, that if you were requesting a use that was not permitted, you'd have to get a use variance from the
Yes.
ZBA. Good job, good job.
Good discussion tonight, actually. There's no other further business to come before this board? Is that what you're gonna say, Rob?
No, I wasn't. I was gonna say, can I get a motion?
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
Can we get a second?
I second that.
All right, all in favor, aye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, happy holidays, everyone.